So you've seen my little list before of the four kinds of knowing. So basically, the way I would see this is provisionism is a propositionally normative label. It's a set of propositions. And so if I were to get a label, what I would want it to do is I'm not against labels altogether, but I would want it to capture the other three kinds of knowing and not be fixed in the area of propositions. Now, it would necessarily delve into propositions, but I wouldn't want it to be fixed in any particular propositions, but I would want the label more to be something like dealing with a procedure, dealing with some kind of activity, not dealing with a set of conclusions that activity might lead to. And so, for example, that activity might be using the inductive method of biblical interpretation, or it might be an axiomatic minimalist, or being axiomatically aware, something like that, that refers to the other three kinds of knowing rather than having a label that is just propositionally normative. So when other people say, "Oh, I'm against labels," I don't think I'm against labels for the same reasons that they are. I'm against a propositionally static label, a label that represents a set of static propositions. Because then all the Calvinists have to do is write a new set of formulas, and then we become egoically attached to those propositions, and then we have the same problem where if we come to the level of awareness where maybe some of those are wrong, we're less likely to grow and transcend that mindset because we become emotionally attached to it and we've identified with it. And now Warren is saying like a Berean, something like that. I even had some slides in here about about Bereans, as a matter of fact, where they had they were called. It was about being noble and things like that. It was about having readiness of mind, searching the scripture to test things, nobility of being in action, something like that, rather than just agreement with things that are so. Does that make sense? So it's not
No,
that I'm
yeah.
against labels. It's that I want
Yeah.
to have a label where my propositions can be fluid and flexible enough to modify as I grow.
Right. And that's what's been interesting with you and I, because I know we've had several discussions back over the day and emailed or texted with each other about different things. And you're one of the few that I'm aware of, that's another broadcaster at least, that really does at least land theologically. I almost in every single area that I'm aware of, because I remember asking you, when it came to the, total inability thing, and because me and Arminians, we split ways when it comes to that, but you and I, we landed in the same spot. When it comes to eternal security issues, you and I seem to land in very much the same spot. And so it seems to me that a lot of it is for you, especially because I think you're a deep thinker. You want to teach people how to think. In other words, you want to teach them how to arrive at their own conclusions, not just tell them what to think. And
Very much
you're,
so. And I think everybody would say that. And I think the telling people what to think component is an undesired byproduct of what we tend to do in theology.
right. And so sometimes putting out a label or an acrostic that counters tulip, the shortfall of that is for those who are willing and just looking for a quick bite-sized answer, a bumper sticker type of answer. Oh, that's what I am. I'm going to surrender my sense making over to Leighton now. It was surrendered over to Piper, but now I don't like what Piper's saying. I like what Leighton's saying. Now I'm going to surrender my sense making to Leighton, and I'm going to call myself a provisionist. And I think that's bad. I agree with your warnings about that. In other words, when I've heard you say things, people just assume I'll get offended now because Kevin's coming after me. And the truth of the matter is, I really don't. I mean, like, no, actually what he's saying is probably a pretty good warning.
I think I know you well enough to where you know that I'm exploring the landscape irrespective of what else is going on. I affirm you as a brother, and um,
Oh, good. I was really wondering.
relax. I condemned you to hell. No, I know that. I think that what you have done is a huge contribution to the landscape, and it's forced me to think, and it's also part of what seeing what you've done and seeing people react to it allows me to back up and think, strategize. Should we call a different play in the second half? Something like that.
Yeah, and some of it, some of it is that, like, what is effective? I mean, that's one of the reasons we put at the top of my page the proverb 16:9 or 9:16. I can't remember what it is, and I can never remember to quote it exactly. I need to memorize this thing. It's at the top of our page. But basically, it's the concept and idea that you win more flies with honey than with vinegar. In other words, kindness as speech is educational or is instructive or something of that nature, to where, in other words, when you speak with love, not just truth, but you speak it with love, it goes further. And so some of the times I'll be honest with you. I mean, there are times when, and I won't name names, but you can probably guess who these people might be or who this person might be, where I just want to come out in the flesh and cuss them out because they're making me really mad.
It might be the spirit. You ever read about Elijah?
The spirit of Kevin Thompson coming up. The Kevin Thompson spirit's coming out. Here it comes, brother.
You can call fire down on 50 of them. I got
my problem is I don't have near the vocabulary you have, and you're able to pull out all these words that I have to look up every 3 minutes. Does he have a thesaurus beside him? What in the world is he getting all those words? I'm a lot simpler than I'm more of the lay level, mindset. But what I'm saying is that the flesh in me, I want to. Sometimes I just want to just say it how I think it is. But then there's other parts of me that think, okay, what is going to be the most effective? Where am I going to really be able to make an impact? And I know from my own upbringing as a Calvinist, and I remember what was so ineffective for me, I guess, in my personality type. There was certain things, and it's, maybe even especially those who are more sensitive in how they're treated, and the tone police kind of mentality that I know some guys just get a little mad at.
People are like dogs. Yeah.
I get it. But at the same time, there's a side of me that wants to say, I don't want to put any barrier between the message that I'm trying to teach and a person that needs to hear it. And so if I can try to present something in a way that they can hear it, then I'll do whatever I have to do. It's kind of like Paul, I'll become all things to all men that I may win some. In the evangelism world, that's something I preach and teach in the evangelism side. And some of that same strategy, if you will, comes over into the theology side. I'm not Calvinist. Don't think I'm trying to say that I'm evangelizing and trying to evangelize you because you're lost, because that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the same methodological principles can apply in both fields, because I think they're effective.